We do have a quorum. There's 3 of us.
And Jake's gonna, okay, we're live then, so I guess we'll call this meeting to order shortly in about 1 minute. 1 minute warning, everybody. Trying to send a link to somebody. Oh, great.
Jake is coming.
Virtually.
Oh, virtually.
Since Lars
I guess there was a method to our madness that's pushing together.
Okay, we're about to call this meeting to order. Where's my gavel? Everyone's taking their seats. Sounds more crowded than it is. I knew I could do play-by-play as well. Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. We are a little bit behind 6:37 p.m. Everybody, sorry. And roll call.
Roll call. Kathy McCarthy.
Here.
Chris Nettles.
I'm here.
Darlene Warner. I am here. Jake Strickler.
We expect him momentarily online.
Okay. And Joe Schneider, absent. Mel McMurrin, absent. He doesn't really need to be present, but we do have a quorum, so we may conduct business.
Fantastic.
Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah, let's do that. Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No. Okay. All right, we have an agenda. Oh, I didn't see it. We have an agenda that has been posted. If you could take a look at it. We did things a little bit out of order because we have Lars from the county here and Celia, so we wanted to move them up earlier in the agenda.
So move to,
Motion to approve the agenda with the change to Lars.
Well, it's up there already, so motion to approve by Paul.
As amended.
It's not amended. It went out that way.
Oh, that's very good. Good job.
so motion to approve the agenda.
Was by Paul and Magdalena, second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? We have an agenda. And if you would take a minute to peruse our minutes from,
December 21st.
thank you, Secretary.
You're welcome.
It was a short meeting.
Yes.
We were done in less than an hour. Huh?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Chris. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Okay. Quick business, in January of each year, The Cobb Area Council Board of Directors will hold a roll call election with its regular members to select the chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary, and treasurer. We did not have a meeting in January, therefore we will select these roles tonight. At everyone's pleasure, I would be honored to continue to be your chair.
I nominate Kathy to be the chair.
I would also be honored to continue as treasurer.
I nominate Chris to be the treasurer.
And I would be honored to continue as secretary.
We'll slate it.
Slated? Okay.
And not me.
That's our vice chair.
No, I did speak with him. Jake is willing to go on as vice chair if.
He's not up for, oh, yeah, we still have to
We have to choose the rules.
Yes. Okay.
I nominate Jake as vice chair.
Great.
Then I'll make a motion to elect Slate as nominated.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Whew, no one's opposed.
Another 2 years.
Yay. No, 1
Oh,
year.
1 year. For,
1
okay.
year.
You could,
These little jobs
that's right.
float around.
That's right. They could change it.
Okay. At this point on our agenda, we have short announcements. Short announcements, like if you have a crab feed coming up, now would be a good time to plug that.
Do we have tickets left? I think we have a few.
All right, and there's a microphone at the back of the room.
We also have a hand raised on Zoom.
You have a hand grenade.
Sorry, I don't hear well.
Sometimes I hear things that aren't good. Hi, Robert Stark, President of Mountain Lions Club. The crab feed tickets are almost gone, but they're not completely gone. If you want one and you don't have one, or 2, or 3, or 4, please see me or John, and we will make the appropriate arrangements. So, $8.95 a pound, Alaskan half crabs. So, like last year, very, very good. So, thank you. Oh, and please, take food. That stuff is free. We had food day today, and that's the leftovers, so the more of it that's gone, the better off it is. So please, help yourselves. Those bags are full of vegetables, jalapenos, squashes, potatoes, you name it. And the microphone went off.
Right.
Oh, you turned me down? Oh, sorry. Yeah, there you go.
A little audio technical
Help yourselves,
difficulty.
please, because we can't keep it. We don't have any room as it is. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mountain Lions. Any other short announcements? We had a Zoom issue. The audio, I think may have been resolved.
I haven't gotten confirmation from anybody in there, but hopefully they're hearing us now.
Okay, hopefully they're hearing us. All right, now would be time for public and board comment on a non-agenda item, 3 minutes per person. I would take this opportunity to recognize Cobbites of the Year, Greg and Allison. They were, we recognize their long-term commitment to Cobb and their commitment to caffeinating us and keeping us well-fed through fire and storm and snow and all of your support to our schools and Little League bake sales. I don't even know what you guys do, but anytime someone comes to you like, hey, are you willing to make a donation? You always come through for this community, and we thank you so much.
I'm going to add something.
And
Feed the Miracle Kids.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine that. And your plaque is at my house. So you'll have to come over for dinner. Okay. Any other non-agenda item? Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm trying to make my alarm go off, stop going off.
Please speak loudly so,
Yeah.
so that the people on Zoom can hear us.
So this is really a question for Jessica. My property is on Perini Road overlooking the old Hoburg Airport. And my address is Middletown. But everybody I serve and all of my friends are in District 5, and they sent me a District 1 ballot. Can I request?
Side of, are you on the east side? You might be in District 1. I think you are.
I'm on the east side of the airport, yes.
On the road,
So
Big Canyon Road.
I can't request a different ballot? Okay,
No, unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. During redistricting, a little bit of that area was added, but on the west side of the road.
Okay.
Down to the old Etowah Hot Springs, that was added, but not on the east side.
Okay.
You have
Go ahead
to
and submit my ballot.
You have to move across the street.
But you're still a part of the Cobb area, so,
We still love you.
yeah. You might be District 1, but you're Cobb area. You're welcome to be here, yeah. Okay. All right, we can move on. That's a nice segue to our supervisor's comments. Jessica Peiska, thank you for being here.
Well, the first thing I want to do is thank the Lions Club for showing up again during another storm disaster again.
Thank you.
We're so lucky to have this facility and all of you, and I know Robert, Mary, John, Doug, all of you guys were here for many, many days so that a warming center could be available to the community. And I felt like this was the easiest one for us to put together. We've done this so many times now, and we didn't even have to call BG&E this time. They were just showing up. There were a lot of crews that were out. Paul, Chief Duncan, your crews were out, you were out, your battalion chief was out. The Helitac crew was cutting people out of their houses, cutting the trees so that they could leave their houses. Lars's crews were out, Public Works, Public Services, Special Districts, the PG&E crews, the tree crews, CHP. It was just an incredible amount of people that were out during really dangerous, uncertain circumstances for the health and safety of all the people that live here. And I'm just really grateful for all of that. Without hesitation, everybody always shows up. And we're really lucky to have a community like this. So thank you, everybody. I do want to say that working with the Lions Club and the Red Cross, there's an application submitted for a generator. And this is one of the angles we've been working for a long time. So we're getting to that place where this will be a turnkey facility during any event. So I know everyone has been wanting this for a long time, and we've tried a lot of things, including that old generator out there. But we're getting there. We're really getting there. So, so again, thank you for your patience. And
Order.
and it sounds like Pastor Shannon will be presenting that application, I think, next week. Yeah. So it's close. It's really close. It's a lot of pushing and a lot of partners involved, but we're really getting close to that, which is great. For those that have damage, we're still collecting all of the damage reports for private property. We did declare a local disaster, and there was some public damage but not as significant as in other events. So we've been trying to compile the private property damage, and that's to people's homes. There were a lot of vehicles destroyed, a lot of things destroyed. We have not seen anything like that ever here. So it was significant. It's really important that people submit their damage to lakesheriff.com. We're not yet sure if there will be any support for that, but it really helps building our case if we can present a total damage assessment. And if you know of anyone, I know there's a lot of families that don't have places to live. We had, I think, well over 25 homes destroyed throughout the county. It's really significant. So if anyone is needing assistance, just have them contact me and we'll see what we can do. Red Cross was really helpful in the short term, getting those people in hotels and getting them some things that are needed and resources. But there's still, as we all know, everybody in this room knows, how hard it is to recover from something like this. There's also going to be a significant amount of defensible space cleanup because so many trees came down. And that's going to be hard because, as Cheryl right down the street here, she has her house was destroyed from a tree falling. She has a giant root ball in her yard. I don't know how we handle that, but we do have, through the Fire Safe Council, a defensible space grant for those that qualify up to $2,500. The funding was held up a little bit for a little while, but it seems to be okay now. And both Supervisor Crandall and I put a big chunk of discretionary funding into that program. I think there's about $500,000. And we'll keep funding it as long as it's needed, and I feel really confident that the state will too, because this is such an important thing. So if anyone is dealing with an insane amount of tree and debris in their yards, go to the Fire Safe Council website or Facebook page, get the application, get that ball rolling. We can see if we can prioritize some of those properties, because that's really hard. That's a hard cleanup. And then, of course, we're going to be figuring out how to clear the debris from the right-of-ways and all those things that we need to get ready again for fire season, which is only a few short months away. So it's never a dull moment around here. So one of the things that we've been dealing with is tree mortality. And one of the things we didn't want to see was a bunch of trees falling down during storms or during fire season. And we've been working on this problem for over 2 years together. And we declared our emergency almost 2 years ago. And we've been developing this plan to get the standing dead trees out of the right-of-way in South County, which is mostly all of Cobb area down through Middletown and Jerusalem Valley. Those are the hardest hit areas. And we've been working with Cal-OES. We even submitted an application to the federal government for support. It's been a long time coming, but I have really good news. Senator McGuire gave us $1 million to start developing this program for managing the program. And we are getting the support finally from Cal-OES from the Disaster Act funding, which is going to fund a lot of the tree removal. We're still unsure what our, usually we have to pay 25%, and typically during disasters you can get a waiver, maybe we get down 10%. We're not sure what that waiver is yet, but we have $1 million now to start the program. And so our county staff and admin has been working on what that looks like. So that's really significant. He's such a great partner, as always. It's been a hustle, and during the state's budget this year, it was a really big hustle for him to get us that. And so I'm really, really grateful. And I'm working on a proclamation to thank him for that. So it's very, very significant. We just don't have the staff to handle something like that. So we'd have to contract all of it. So that's what those funds are just for managing the program. Then I just came back from Washington, D.C. I was there all last week. I got back yesterday. We brought a delegation. Supervisor Sabatier and I went with 2 of our staff members, and it was a lot of advocacy work, and then it was our National Association of Counties NACO Legislative Conference. So the first day we did a FEMA training, which was all day, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., just working through all the changes with FEMA and what that looks like pre-disaster, and all the things that we can do ahead of time as well as after disaster. One of the things that we talked about a lot was every $1 spent in proactive work saves $7 down the road. And we all know that because we've been through a lot of rebuilding. So that is why FEMA and the federal government and our state government are investing so heavily in the proactive work to build resilient communities. So there's a lot about that. There was also a lot of talk with the federal government, and we did a lot of advocacy with Senator Padilla's office and Congressman Thompson's office about what the federal government can do to assist with our insurance crisis. Because it's not just California, it's everywhere. But other states like Alabama have been doing a whole lot of things to mitigate the hardened communities like we're doing here. And that has really just fundamentally changed the insurance market in Alabama. The other states in the hurricane area are still really suffering. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned there, but it's all about that pre-mitigation work, hardening work. And so if the federal government can try and step in, that'll be really, really helpful, because this is a state issue with the markets, but there's a lot of overarching themes with the federal government. So those were some of the highlights of the trip. And I think it was a really great investment for all of us to go. We hadn't gone before. Supervisor Crandall had gone in the past representing the tribes, but this is our first time going as a county. And so it was a big investment, but it was really worthwhile as we really figure out how we can pull down the bipartisan infrastructure, the Inflation Reduction Act, like all of those big historic pots of funding that we've never seen before and we never will see again, for broadband, housing, all of those things. This is how we figure out how to funnel that money back into our county. So it was big. So that's all I have for my report, but I'm just wondering if anyone has any questions tonight. Okay. Well then.
I was just gonna, yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. And happy birthday last week.
Thank you.
Had to celebrate on the road.
It did, yes. But the next agenda item, I'm going to introduce our Public Services Department. We have Lars Ewing here. And this is, I can't tell you how excited I am. I know you're just as excited because a park for the Cobb area has been a community priority for a long, long time, even before the Valley Fire. But since we started the Cobb Area Council and since we started, really visioning what we want our community to look like, this has been at the top of the priority list. And when I first took office, there was funding identified, $1 million in geothermal royalties that was just sitting there. So Lars has really taken this on with Celia, and so I'm going to just let them talk about where we are.
Well, thank you. I do need to use the mic, I assume, and I was told to stand back here. It seems odd because you all have to turn around, but nevertheless, I guess that's just the way we're doing it. So yeah, Lars Ewing, I'm the Public Services Director for the county. I always like to start any introduction of me with the title that Public Services Department is very obscure. Nobody knows what it is because every department in the county does public service. That's their job. So Public Services is Parks and Recreation. We have county buildings and grounds. We have solid waste in the landfill and museums. So today, Parks is the focus. Celia Hoberg is here. She's going to be my, as usual, the superstar, and she's really the powerhouse behind getting the stuff done. But it's very appropriate that Jessica did the introduction here because this really, she spearheaded this project. It was once she came in and secured the funding, I think she downplayed her role in getting the funding. It wasn't just sitting there. That was something that she initiated. So she deserves the credit for getting this going, and then really we're just here to carry out not just her direction. She's one of 5, but the board's direction to make this happen. So it'll be a relatively brief, and but I want to be as thorough as you need me to be, but give you an update on where we are on the development of a park in Cobb. So Jessica gave you the backstory of the fact that yes, there has, as you all know, there is no local park here in Cobb. You have Boggs Demonstration State Forest as far as public lands, but that's a far cry from having a community park, right? And we use the term park, and your definition or your picture of a park is going to be different than yours. Someone might picture Boggs, and someone else might picture a simple picnic table and a playground. So the desire that we heard both from the ancient local area plan from this area, as well as the general plan, but also the local community during public outreach was they really wanted to have a local park, what we would call local park or a community park. That's really just a place for a playground, a place to have a barbecue, a party, and so we went on the search. This was a few years ago that we went on the search for a location, and I say we, the county. It included Celia. Might have actually predated Celia before she started working. It did, I can tell you that, before she started working in public services. But we looked at a variety of locations. In fact, about 3 years ago, I would say, I was here presenting an update, or actually getting feedback from you all about what you needed, what the Cobb area needed. There were a few locations that were conceptual, just ideas, and so we kept looking. Some were looking good, and then they fell by the wayside. And about a year and a half ago, I would say, a certain property came. Well, it didn't just fall into our lap. Celia found it. Let's just put it that way. I mean, you don't just find a property, but she did the research. She knows the area, and so she reached out using not only her expertise in a former life of being an escrow officer, but the local connections that she has, the relationships that she has, just so happened that the property owner of the property that we're pursuing, she used to work with, and so that was great. So I should hand the mic over to Celia, but she's done a great job. So I will show a few things just to set the stage. Though we're not here to build your park. We're here to find out what you want in your park. And that's not why we're here now. We're here to update you, but that's really how we start with these things. We all have an idea of what a park might mean and what it should look like, but we need to hear from the public. And so we did go through that process of, we were at Celia was among others, was at the Blackberry Festival getting input from you. I was here. I've been I think on Zoom at Cobb area councils in the past to solicit your input on what amenities you might want at a park. And so those amenities, and I'll just a few slides, and I'll go through these. These were slides that were up at the Blackberry Festival. So just the type of things that came to light from the input that we received, and it's very simple stuff. This is not what you're getting. We're just showing you ideas of, waste receptacles, drinking fountains, and barbecues. Okay, great. Yes, that's basic stuff. Shaded seating, benches, picnic tables. So give you an idea of the type of things that we're trying to stick to the Cobb, the forested area, where we're not putting up very plastic type stuff, right? We want to stick to the theme that's here. And so moving on to the next, we've got restrooms, play structures, and amphitheaters. And I recognize that these may be very hard to see. And we can provide these electronically if you like. But just to, the general theme is a very forested kind of a cabin feel that we're looking to do. Now, knowing that, the property that we are looking at, if you aren't aware, is a 13-acre parcel that's just generally southeast of the golf course. So it is just bordered by 175 and Gulf Road, and then Forest Lake here. So the yellow parcel is what we're looking at. It's about 13 acres. It's primarily forested area. The Kelsey Creek, the headwaters, comes right through it, and then right on the corner is the I guess I'll say the old property management building there. So we are over, goodness, probably the last year or so have been negotiating with the property owner, and we have on the 27th, in fact, just 3 days ago, we put out the public notice that on February 27th at the Board of Supervisors, there will be a consideration for the agreement to purchase. So we've gone through a pretty lengthy, I would say, process to get to not just the bottom line dollar, but what else, what needs to be done on that property to get to the point where we're ready to accept it. So Celia has done a wonderful job with that, and so this is the property, but it's kind of, now what is it going to look like? So what we did is we reached out to a semi-local firm, and the reason I say semi-local is, and I believe he's, I don't know what his role is here, but Jake Strickler, vice chair. So Jake Strickler works for a firm down in Napa. He's a civil engineer, and they have a partnership with a landscape architecture firm. So we contracted with them to develop a concept plan that meets what we heard from the public. And so in doing that, I recognize this is hard to see. It's a concept plan. It's not a design. It just shows the different amenities that, based on the input, this was their concept. And I'll talk through it a bit. It might be best actually to show the first one. This is very similar to the previous one. It just shows some of the different amenities. So this is for inspiration. It's not necessarily what we're going to put in, but it's intended to inspire the type of playgrounds that we're looking at. And again, the general theme is a natural playground, right? And whether, that could be both a purchased playground that is built to be natural. It also could include using some of the lumber that's there, or the timber. I shouldn't call it lumber. The trees that are there. Whether that's for a playground or a bench, edging along a trail. So we want to try to stay true to the feel of the area. Same thing with other amenities. These are amphitheaters, and so there's a proposal to include a small amphitheater. We're not talking about anything gigantic, but restroom, including a restroom there, native garden inspiration, a picnic area inspiration. So the desire here, if we go take this off here, I'll talk through this, and happy to walk around if you like, or we'll leave. Actually, what we can do is we'll leave these here for people to look at after, and if whoever's last, if we can get them back, that's great. We trust you. So to talk through this for some sense of understanding, here's Highway 175. And here's Gulf Road, and so you've got the golf course on your left. What the landscape architect designed is a parking area here where the existing building is. We considered the condition of the existing building. We had it inspected, and I more than likely it's not something that we're going to be able to use. That building is pretty far gone, and when we're talking about a public building that has to meet public standards, it would require a lot more work than likely is beneficial to keep it. So a parking area in the front, and then what they've shown here throughout the majority of the park is trails. So a trail system that gets you walking around the 13 acres. But it includes a natural playground in the front. We have a picnic area. There's a restroom building. So kind of all focused in, I would say, what's the cleared area right now. If you're all likely familiar with it. So if you park right where the building is, there's an open area that has been cleared, and so that's really the focus for the main area of the park. The rest of the area of the park is intended, or now, for trails. So we would want to have a trail system that gets you up and over the creek. You can access all the way up Gulf Drive. So this is a trail system that theoretically you could go from here all the way up and over, and then get up here to the intersection of Cobb and Gulf Road. So Again, it's at a concept level. This has not been, fully designed in through from an engineering perspective. But there's, it seems to, and there is no one perfect design that any park designer can make. I'm not a park designer by trade. I'm a civil engineer like Jake. So that's, this is recognizing that from a landscape architecture and a park planning perspective, if we asked another park planner to design it, it might be very different. So based on the input that we've received, though, I think they've met what we asked them to do, which is provide a concept that we can hopefully springboard from. So the next steps, presuming the board and hopefully the Board of Supervisors approves that on the 27th. If they do, then we would be closing escrow, or actually, closing escrow a few weeks after that. And then based on the funding that we have, again, thanks to Supervisor Pyska and the rest of the board for appropriating that money, we will be able to, I believe, do kind of a phased approach with the park. So get it to the point where we have an opening where we likely have some improvements on the parking area, and I think get a playground in and some of the initial amenities in, along with some of the trails. So that, based on the funding that we have, we'll be able to have a park that can be used by the public in a phased approach. So that phase one would get us open and have the park up in Cobb. So again, big thanks to Celia, who's been a big workhorse behind this, and Supervisor Pyska and the board. And happy to answer any questions and leave this here, have you look at it. But I'm excited as the Parks and Rec guy for the county. It's exciting to see parks built where they're needed. The Cobb area is, I believe, the only community growth area that does not have a local park, and so the need was long-standing, and it's exciting to get to that point. The maintenance is a concern. You can, if you build it, they will come, and so we will build it, and that means that we need to have a maintenance presence. That doesn't mean someone here all the time, but it means that we need to figure out how do we maintain it on a long term, on an ongoing basis, and there's a cost to that. So I'm that's for me to figure out, work with the board to get the funding to do that. But I'm confident, based on my knowledge of our budget, I'm confident that we can make that work. So with that said, you've heard enough of me. Celia, give you an opportunity if you wanted to chime in.
They've all heard me before.
Okay. All right. So happy to answer any questions. I'll be here for as long as you like. Sir.
Thank you. This is really quite exciting. I think it's a marvelous kind of example of the kind of terrain and that we enjoy up here. The one thing that, from my perspective, is a principal feature of this site, of course, is the creek. And I would really encourage you to really, from the beginning, in the initial planning of that, make sure that you look at how you, because all of the creek stretches that we have suffered over the past 100 years from, not being properly tended to, and there's lots of invasive species, et cetera. And I think this would be a fabulous opportunity to incorporate and include in your core planning for this ecological restoration of that stretch of the creek. We'd be happy to help you with that. And I know Celia and I have had this conversation, but I wanted to just kind of let you know, particularly access to, I know our local tribal partners are eager and skilled in helping us to do that kind of work, and there are resources for that. So we would really like to partner with you. There are other funding sources as well for that dimension of the development. So we'd like to get in on the ground floor as you begin to develop this facility for the community, and make sure that creek restoration and the watershed restoration are an integral part of your programming.
And I appreciate the comments. Just a few responses to that. Had Celia attend that with intention. She was a part of that. I have met up here with a couple of the environmental representatives from local tribes. I've talked to Tara about their participation in this. And when once this is in county hands, literally the property is in county hands, we need to start there's a process of development, and CEQA needs to be, and that's the first step. So we need to have a project defined so that we can analyze the impacts of that project, and what goes along with that are appropriate environmental and technical studies that need to be completed. And you know that, and I'm making sure that everyone else understands that the impacts of the project will be analyzed, and that will include certainly the creek. And so we're here showing, and I'm talking about a bridge over the creek, and we want to highlight the creek, but at the same time preserve it, and whether that's with some interpretive panels along the way, an overlook, but also the restoration of not only the creek but the area. We're not looking to take this 13 acres and make it into an urban park, right? We want to preserve the feel of that. That was the input that we received. Again, not right, right. Absolutely, but no, I appreciate the comments, and we absolutely will stay in touch. All right. Any other questions for me?
And you are still taking input, or.
Well, I mean, we're constantly taking input, and anytime we want. Now, there will be some more formal opportunities for input as we go through as we develop the design and as we go through CEQA. There will be opportunities for input, absolutely, that are in a more formal fashion. But all the input that we've received already, that builds us to the point that where we are now. Exactly.
And it's going to be a great place for the bookmobile to stop every week, too.
All right. And
Thank you all so much. I can bring him back. Yeah, I'll bring him back.
Great. All right. It's time for our fire season update, the winter storm edition.
Thank you.
That is hilarious. So, thank you for the winter storm. That was pretty humorous to read. The storm that hit us was spectacular. Just for some statistics, our command center dispatched over 400 calls on Sunday. So they normally do in a volume about 68. Within that, the North Division here, so Lake County had 221 incidents. South Lake responded to 41. North Shore had 80. Kelseyville 45. Lake County Fires, that's Clear Lake 27, and Lakeport did 28. So normally in a volume day we do probably 25 calls. So just as a perspective on the amount of work that was done. We did have the snowplow out running, so they were super busy with that. Those operations work very smoothly. Did want to give some acknowledgement to folks paying attention. So we didn't have anybody touch lines down. We didn't get anybody zapped as a result of that. So that's huge. The amount of power lines we had down here was spectacular. Jessica has probably some statistics on that from OES, but there were at one point, PG&E had 1.8 million people out of power, and we were just a small fraction of that, but we had a lot of damage. Question on snowplow operations, I'm still the dispatcher for that, so if we need somebody's road cleared, after a couple days, we'll send the snowplow out and do that for them. We don't like to do that just day of unless there's some kind of emergency, so we try to reserve that for getting out to emergencies. But that will be through me. Just message me, text me, get a hold of Jessica. She can get a hold of me, and we'll get you the snowplow out there to clear. On the national weather side, I wrote a pretty strongly worded letter to the National Weather Service. I'm very disappointed in their performance. They predicted 30 to 40 mile an hour winds. We had somewhere in the round of 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. And on which ridge? Yeah, 90, not surprising. I had a steel dog kennel picked up and pitched 50 feet, which is unreal. But the core issue is their predictions they're not accurate at all. and they've switched weather service stations from Sacramento to Eureka. And the National Weather Service office in Eureka I'm familiar with. It's in the middle of the bay. So it sits in an office, and they look outside and go, okay. They don't see what happens down here in Lake County, and it's happened not just with the storm events, it's happened with red flag warnings, it's our predictions, and the snow event last year was another one where we're just going to have some flurries up on Cobb, and it was snowing in Lakeport. Okay, yeah, so some problems. So they've asked me to attend a conference call with them on that, and they may be looking for local weather spotters. So I would reach out through this group to find out if folks are interested in doing weather spotting, and if that does come up, that we'll offer up those names to do that for them. And that is so they can get a more accurate picture of what goes on in this microclimate versus what's happening in Eureka in the middle of the bay. So trying to stay on top of that, but if that does come up, just I'm going to reach out. I'll reach out to you, and you can put it out to the group, and just see.
Just to mention that the Cobb radio network might be a good adjunct for that, and we've got a bunch of people who are capable of...
So, yeah, Elliot asked about the Cobb area radio network. That's good. They are going to want points of contact, so not just somebody within that.
I mean, there are, well, Darlene...
Okay.
Each section has a central...
Oh, Darlene's got a good perspective on when the wind's blowing up there.
Yes, I do. Yeah, and I would say it was about 90, 95 at my house.
The kids were thinking we were going to be in Lakeport and change zip codes in a different election district after the storm. The copter did take off this evening, so they won't be back until March, so no worries there. We will be doing some more clearing around the Cobb School, but that will be during the break, and it'll be further up on the other side of the highway. The air curtain burner, so that is set up. The fencing is established on that. We're working with Clerk, potentially a location of a carbonizer with the air curtain burner. Still don't have a start date, but we're getting closer on that. Folks are asking about, how do they get help? I got chewed out by one person who's unhappy that I told them to call 911 and not post stuff on social media. But that is my direction. So if you're looking you need help, trees down, roads blocked, you got some emergency, call 911. And the reason for that is the 911 call goes to the call center, your location is registered, and if you get dropped, we know where you are. And then we have a callback mechanism, and the call gets transferred, and you can get pre-arrival instructions from the dispatcher. How to clear an airway, how to do CPR, how to stop bleeding. Those things happen when you dial 911. If you call the fire station directly, which folks have the number for that, they may be out doing other emergencies and the phone doesn't get answered. I don't want folks to sit in a house with a tree going through the floor and somebody trapped below waiting for somebody to get back to the fire station to answer the phone. Please use 911. That is my request. And then on the other not good news side is the weather we're staring at this weekend is very similar to 2 weeks ago. So same forecast, they're looking at winds predicted out of National Weather Service of 30 to 40 with the potential for 8 inches of rain on the mountain. So that's for here, 8 inches, everything covered in that much water. So just be aware, if we get wind again, the trees are weakened, the ground is super saturated, so it doesn't take a lot of wind to blow trees over. So just be aware of that, and then be prepared. So have gas for the generator, food in the refrigerator, just be prepared. And again, 911 is the requested thing. I guess the last note, on the AT&T tower, hopefully they're doing a little more hardening on that, and we can offer up some hand crews to do some work on that line if they ever ask. But super frustrated with our AT&T service that it drops out and the tower goes down as soon as the wind blows. So, yeah, that's it for me. Any questions? Robert?
I've lived here for 49 years, and this is the first year that the county put the plow down on Highway 175 when Caltrans wasn't here and the road was covered with snow. And all I have to say, it was about time. You can't, you watch the guy get to the end of Bottle Rock, lift the plow, and then drive through the snow because Caltrans isn't here. And you're going, what are you thinking here? So this year, my hats are off to Public Works for actually putting the plow down and actually taking care of the people for the greater good rather than just, oh, well, we can't do that because the rules say this and the rules say that. Well, the heck with that. Put the plow down. Thank you.
And the grader out.
Get the yeah, somebody saw the grader out, which is, have whatever route works.
The grader.
Saw the grader going by, solid. They, at one point, I saw 4 county plow trucks down in Loch Lomond that were working the community, so, yeah, super happy with that. We had, Darlene reached out with a couple of vehicles stuck on 175, and Caltrans was slow, but they have a large area to patrol, so understand that. But always, so 911 is the answer. Go ahead, Chris.
Are you aware of how the trails are looking up on bogs, rather?
They're a hot mess right now, so we're sending crews out to work on that. The Helitac crews are working that, and so the hand crews, so you may see some of our local Canocti hand crews up there doing work to clear that, get those cleared. There's a lot of down stuff. So just for knowledge, the pines and the firs and the cedars don't like to be alone. They like to be in a party. So when you start taking trees out that are pines and firs around each other and leave a soul, they will typically fall because they don't have the root structure established and will come down. So that's why those solo trees, even some of the oaks do, because they don't have shelter.
You must not plant any more pines.
Well, that's an idea, but that's too late. We've already planted a bunch, so. I think a mosaic of trees is good, so not all oaks, not all pines, not all firs, but have a mix. Cool. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you so much. Yes.
And thank you in advance for this coming weekend.
So I called about sending Bonner Road. So I called them and asked them to send the road. They did not Tuesday morning.
Sandy Bottom Rock is a county road.
Yep, you call Public Works, and you can,
Jim was first right in the school.
yep, you can call them, and you can send an email to them.
How early? I don't really know. How early?
Well, they typically start at 8 a.m.
I'll call them today.
So, and it's a local thing too. If they're in Lakeport, they may not see that we have frost up there, so somebody calls and says. So it's important to let them know.
Could I add something?
Sure. More to add about winter storm. Does this one have a name?
We don't name storms.
It's just the storm.
But Cobb, Cobb, snow tree, that one, whatever you want to call it.
So we had the community resource open 6 days here. We only had 71 people. Now, there's no reason, and we have already made this recommendation to PG&E, if they can call everybody who's out of power and tell them when the power's going to be on, they can tell them where the heck the community resource is, the CRC is, or at least refer them to the website that could take them where they enter their zip code and it could give them the closest location. The PG&E representative was going, well, there weren't very many people there, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? We were open till 10 o'clock. Is anybody in this room going out at 9:30 at night to charge their phone? No, of course not. We had no one between the hours of 8 and 10. But the point is if you want better participation, then it is up to PG&E to see to it. More people came in here and said, we found your source on the Mountain Lion Facebook page. The majority of people who came here because it was on the Mountain Lion Facebook page. Everybody who was out of power and got a phone call should have been instructed how to find this facility. And we really need to stress that. Because, once the event's over, I'm not sure that the ears just don't get turned off. But anyway, I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to make that clear, that There has to be a better job of finding a way to get people here. We had people here, we had a teacher here who taught a class in the bar. She does an online high school class in the coffee shop normally, but no, the Wi-Fi was out of kilter. She came here and did her class. 8 hours she was here. So there were people here that spent hours doing their work that they do from home on the internet. So just a word. Thank you.
It was on the outage map.
Yeah, I saw it on the outage map. It's a tiny little
Yeah.
icon that's
Yeah.
hard to interpret what it
Yeah.
is, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can ask PG&E to.
And
It was almost an act of God to get that press release out. I hope everybody appreciated it because it took me 3 days.
yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, and we did share the Cobb Mountain Lions Facebook page through the Cobb Area Network, the Cobb Area Council, What's Up on Cobb. We put it out there in a couple different ways, and I know. Yeah, and then I know it was shared, so you guys did a great job.
And thank you again.
Thank
For
you.
the first 2 days, there's no power.
Yeah.
The generator's running, there's a power in your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
AT&T's out. PG&E has your phone number for crying
Yeah.
out loud. It should be referenced in that phone call.
If your phone's working too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just every way you can get the message out. But yeah, would be a great thing if they could do that.
All right. It's time for our treasurer's report.
Yes, it is.
Yay!
It's Chris.
The fun stuff. I'll just go down this fairly quickly, and I may round numbers a little bit. If you want the details on exactly where we stand on everything, here is a copy of the treasurer's report. So the last treasurer's report that I was able to give was in November. So these are numbers since November 15th, because December we had a shortened meeting, and then we didn't have a meeting in January because we had appointments that still had to be made. This report represents basically a whole quarter worth of expenses. In November, we had our operating balance, our operating money for all of our accounts that we maintain of $31,881. Since 11/15, we've had transactions out of the general fund that total about $1,430 that represent the Empire storage, the storage unit that we've got, Cobb water for the hub, and Lions Club rent. For the Blackberry Cobbler Festival, we reimbursed our Blackberry Cobbler Festival co-chair, Kathy McCarthy, some money to the tune of about $846 that she's been carrying expenses on for entirely too long, so that happened. And also, we are a fiscal sponsor for Glennis Sculpture Jam, and there were $746 of expenses out of that effort as well. So right now, our current account balances, we've got $7,749 in our general fund. That's what we use to pay the bills for this place and all the operations here. The Blackberry Cobbler Festival Fund right now has $17,938. That's what we're going to use to seed, and we'll talk a little bit later about the Cobbler Festival, but that's the money that we use to get that going. We also have $2,417 sitting in a fund that's called Emergency Preparedness that is available for use for any sort of emergency preparedness activity that we want to do. It's just sitting there. So if anybody has any ideas about how to use that, that money is there. And then, of course, we've got $753 left in that restricted event use for Glenna's Sculpture Jam, and he may need that for next year, but we're holding on to that money for him. We're just the fiscal sponsor for that. So right now, in our overall operating budget, it dropped since November to $28,859, so it's a little over $3,000 drop because we make all of our money during Cobbler Festival, so the rest of the time we're expense heavy. And we also have a small business loan fund that's also sitting there that hasn't gotten any use. That's originally from the San Francisco Home Loan Bank grant to the tune of about $48,000. So total restricted and unrestricted funds, $76,942 is what we have on hand. If you need more details, the report's right here, but that's where we stand financially. Questions?
Good job.
I'm done.
Good adding and subtracting.
Like I said, those were round numbers. Like if you want exact information, it'll be in the minutes, and because I've submitted my report to the secretary, and it's right up here for those that are present.
And there's receipts and everything. I'm
intense.
He's intense. And everything's easy to see and understand, so you can sit down and if you have any questions, and he can explain it to you for hours.
Over good Thai food.
Over food, yeah. Okay, thank you, Chris. Which kind of leads to this next thing. At some point, we had decided that we would vote quarterly to continue, or at least every other month, to continue renting a storage space for the hub materials. I didn't check with my secretary, but I figure it's about time that we did that again.
I believe it was up in January or this month, and we
Yeah.
did not have a meeting last month, so this
So,
would be appropriate at this time, yes.
and so it's on the agenda.
So I will make a motion to approve another quarter of paying for the storage unit at Empire Storage.
Was that Elliot?
Yes. Any other discussion? How much?
It's like $130 a month is what we're paying for it. So it'll be like about $400 for another quarter.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay. You can pay the rent.
Thank you. It's on auto debit on our card.
Go track it down. All right, committee reports, Firewise Communities. I'm just going to jump in and say Jones Creek is renewed and approved, and we are in good standing again. Yay! All right, go ahead, Magdalena.
Let's just say that the getting everybody approved was a cooperative effort. Yeah, the Firewise communities have been active, really focusing on getting their renewals in, which means that anybody who lives in a Firewise community, you're entitled to get 10% off your California Fair Plan insurance. Some other companies probably will be offering that as well, but you really have to talk to them. I found out this morning there was a call-in radio show that the Nevada Fire Safe Council sponsored, and they were talking with the deputy commissioner for the state agency. It turns out that the 10% off of the California Fair Plan is also accompanied by 25% off the wildfire portion of your plan. Now, I haven't had a chance to really look into those details, but that really perked my ears up because, you know, we can use all the help that we can get. I also want to just notice that they're called the Communities community organizations active in disasters. The Firewise communities aren't exactly involved in that directly, but most of us leaders keep our hand in on what's going with that, because the community organizations include all the nonprofits, you know, the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, the churches, and so forth. They're really our partners in helping to be prepared for emergency work. And they're also the people who will be helping with the community emergency response team training. We've got some really great trainers here in Cobb who have already had that training, and we're looking forward to more classes this year. We were also able to work with the North Coast Opportunities. I was the sort of like the liaison for the Firewise communities to get an AmeriCorps crew to help with wherever people needed some help to clear their properties. And we were able to get about five or six properties out. They're kind of a cute crew, you know. They're like eight to nine 18-year-olds coming out to help. And Inez mentioned at the start of, yeah, there's that too. There's that too. It's an age range. This particular crew, we've had a crew out before. This one was very energetic, which was really nice to see. I could see that they could still use a little bit more training. They need a little bit more help with having good tools, but I'll be giving Tammy some of that feedback as well. They get billeted at McLaughlin Preserve these days, and that probably will happen again. I'm hoping for another crew later in the year, but we have to wait for North Coast Opportunities to be able to get that. And then I never know until the last minute that anyone's coming out, and then we scramble. So stay in touch with your Firewise community leaders, because I call on them to let me know if it's needed in your area. And you know, we need to grab them as fast as we can, because they get assigned all around the county for all kinds of projects. And I'm thinking that $2,000 for emergency preparedness, we're kind of overdue for a kind of a community event relative to fire safety, and we had more inspiration from some of the other fire safe councils in the northern part of California. Marin is no longer the top county for Firewise communities. Nevada County is, and they are at 91, but they're competing with Placer. So, you know, we're a small county. We have almost 20. We're very proud to have even that much. We're going to keep on going, and we'll try and figure some of this out.
Thank you, Magdalena.
Thank you.
Darlene, communications.
Yeah, I'm gonna start off with some storm-related items, mainly with the Cobb AlertNet radio network being important during storm events as well. Like Chief Duncan said, always call 911 first before you reach out to any other methods of help. We were able to help some new members of our group whose house was totally demolished by a tree falling through their roof, and they were trapped in their bedroom, husband and wife and their dog. And luckily we had a couple CERT-trained people that were able to go out and assist. They were able to, before or right at the same time the fire department got there. You know, this was her first time using the radio, I believe, but she spoke very calmly, got all the information out. We had to relay some of that. I got texted out to the authorities that this was happening. It was my understanding through all the broken communication that either 911 wasn't able to be reached, or they weren't going to be able to make it out here. or something, and it was a really immediate need. I don't know if you got our newsletter or not, but probably can't see from here, but their whole house was just, half of it's gone, and they were in there. So, it's an adjunct. We were made aware that they needed help, and they got the help they needed. But again, call 911 first. We're not 911. Make that very clear. But
If you have no other way to get the word out.
Exactly.
Someone on the team will call 911.
Exactly, yeah. My phone wasn't working then. I mean, I could have if it was working. I believe she said she did call, this is Cheryl, her name, and I believe she said she did call 911, but luckily she had a radio there in the bedroom where they were trapped and, getting as much help as they can. And the other thing is during the winter, we're primarily there to assist getting the word out if we need to evacuate in a fire or a mass, getting off the mountain if we need to. If there's a fire, we need to all be aware of mountain-wide. But during winter storm events, it's good to keep your radio on the main channel just to be aware of, if there's lines down like in a neighborhood versus, blocking the highway, that sort of thing. It's good to be aware of what's going on around you. We had a little bit of issues with our repeater. The roof at the site up on the mountain had a little leak and got our repeater slightly wet, so we're on a backup repeater, the old one we were using before we got the new one. But we made it work, and we had the hill repeater as a backup, and that was on solar power. And then we have the backup repeater on the mountain. We had to keep Mel kept refueling it every day to keep that running until PG&E came back. So we made that work. We were all without power for some time and kept that going, so we were all able to stay friends while our phones were out too. So so it was comforting for those that were out of contact with some people and was helpful to a few others. Mel would like me to say he's looking for a few more licensed ham operators, amateur radio operators. So for ham radio, which is different from what our GMRS network does. So if anybody would like his phone number and is interested in doing that, I can give you his phone number. So I'm not looking at you in particular, but I'm sure he's probably been pushing that. Yeah. I think he keeps pushing me, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go that route. But tomorrow we'll be having an Cobb AlertNet Communications Committee. We'll be having an informal meeting online just to discuss the post-op of the storm, what worked for some people, what didn't work, and that sort of thing. So that'll be tomorrow evening online at 5 o'clock, and then our regular meeting we'll be having next Friday, week from Friday or the following week, the 25th? No, Friday the 23rd or Friday the 1st. And I don't know, if you get our newsletter, we've got some information where you can help Cheryl, Alan, and their dog Lucy. And so if you get our newsletter, there's a bunch of information about that. But really good that stayed calm during an emergency and got information out, and everyone got together, and our network worked the way that we hope that it does, and we're happy we were able to help and that everything's okay. Duncan? Yeah, go ahead. And thank you to Wendy Collins too. I mean, she's not here, but she emailed us and thanked us and thought we should get the word out too.
So while I was studying, I was connected into all sorts of different information and looking on YouTube, and I saw this thing in North Georgia where they've linked all of their repeaters together, and you can talk to anyone in like a 200-mile radius. Yeah. And into Tennessee as well. Yeah. So is there any viability to linking all of our repeaters?
There is.
And by the way, Mel tells me that your dad is the dude.
The dude, yes. He's the retired dude. Yeah, there is a way to do that. I'd like to, what I can do is put a large repeater on Mount St. Helena and just get rid of all the small stuff. But that would require everyone to have different radios that are more expensive and that's not like a user-friendly, in the neighborhood kind of thing. So, my dad he built the sites in St. Helena decades ago, before they burned down twice. And so it just, St. Helena, Diablo, TAM, Partasutro, all the major sites. So it's all the major equipment, commercial equipment for TV, radio, 911 equipment, everything. So this is just kind of, I don't want to say small stuff, but it is. So,
You could do it in a spare time.
yes. It's, so, for him. And for me, I'm just familiar with the big stuff, so I have to scale things down. It's like, oh, wait a minute, we don't have that. Oh, that's a different frequency range. Oh, that's, I'm not familiar with the small stuff, so I'm learning, the user-friendly part of it for small neighborhoods, and terrain has a lot to do with it. So, but connecting, we do have two repeaters that are connected right now, and that would be the hill and mountain. What most people know about would be simulcast, where if we transmit on a certain channel, same frequency, but different channel, different tones, that sort of thing, with the right tones, it'll go out on the other repeater, if Larry's got it going at his house, because that's where the hill repeater is. But, it can be done, but it takes a number of repeaters, and it actually involves some internet. So like when the internet goes down, or power, that sort of thing, you have to work around that. So we're trying to have it where where the network as it is now can be used without power. So the linked repeaters require internet. Not power, because we can do without power with the generator backup, but they usually require some sort of internet interfacing. Excuse me, I'm very congested tonight. So.
Thank you.
Yeah? Does that, I could get with you some more and even bring my dad into it, and he could explain it. And he'll watch this tomorrow after it's posted on YouTube, and he'll say, "What were you talking about? Let me explain this for you, darling." So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Forest Health Committee,
No update this week.
and I didn't accidentally overlook you, so I'm surprised.
You should
Nothing.
see, you've got like a big red
I
box.
do. Don't.
Don't.
Listening to Darlene talk, Elliot.
Yeah, either Elliot or I really have a lot to say.
All right, Economic Development
Okay.
Committee?
So last week I attended the LC Bar, that's Lake County Business Association Roundtable, is that the,
I
okay.
think that sounds right.
Yeah, and there is a lot of money floating around available for small businesses in Lake County at low cost, low interest loans, and a lot of technical assistance also out there available. And they were excited to see somebody from one of the municipal area, municipal advisory councils. So we were the only one represented.
I used to attend
Yeah.
regularly, and then
Yeah, but
I
I
had
see
to go
you.
back to school.
We were both there.
yeah, we were there.
And so I talked to a few of the people there about potentially coming and just presenting to an economic development committee meeting. And what I'd like to do is get that on the calendar, and then, a couple of weeks early, promote the fact that we're going to have that meeting so that we can get businesses there that may be interested in accessing some of that technical assistance, some of the loan programs. And I also know that the new county economic development person is working on some biomass business opportunities potentially as well. Is that correct?
Not yet.
Okay, all right, then maybe someday.
Yes.
All right. So the short order of that is that I'm working really hard to get some people to come and present specifically to Cobb businesses as part of our Economic Development Committee agenda. And as soon as I've got somebody scheduled, I will put a meeting on the calendar.
Great. Thank you. Okay. It's cobbler in time, which I love to say. I love to say that. So, because it's February and we're supposed to have a festival at the end of August, word on the street is that should the current person who is in escrow to purchase the Mountain Meadows golf course, that they are interested in continuing all previously held events there. So, I mean, that's an option that apparently we still have. But that's all still in escrow. But it's time to start making some moves as to whether or not we'll have a festival and who's going to chair it. And when I say chair it, I mean like do the business. There's a lot of business, and I am still happy to help, but it's not a one-person job. And we're at the point where, you know, we've done 3. The 4th year is our big year, you know, it's like we could reinvest and make it into something, you know, even more successful than before. Or we could keep trying to do it the way we've been doing it, and it might be too much. So
I think you can drop the mic in front of them
it's too much.
for volunteer.
For volunteers. And so I am discussing that we approve a process for 2 things. Maybe I put these out of order, but to have that position be a paid position, and then to establish a process for choosing who would run that event.
So I think it makes sense to get approval for the paid position and then talk about the process for selecting that person. So would you entertain a motion? So the motion that I'd like to make is that we create a paid chair position to administer the Cobbler Festival for 2024.
So is there an amount and a job description yet, or is this just approving this to explore?
I think this would be, I mean, I think we'd have to approve it to explore so that we could come up with both a dollar amount and duties, because we need a job, I mean, we need a job description, but we didn't want to move forward with it.
Right.
So, so is the motion clear enough?
Yes, second.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
And this is how the 2 of you will do.
Yeah, well, technically, as the Economic Development Committee is the overseer of the festival, ultimate overseer.
So
Yeah, but with anyone, you please join in. It's not just us.
would you like to help? Okay.
And how would this relate to, I know there's some discussion about basically just hiring an outside firm to manage it. Or would this be
Right.
someone who would actually do the administering such a contract, et cetera?
So the conversations that Kathy and I have had is that it probably makes the most sense to hire somebody who's been involved with it before and done this and knows what it takes. And that's what we'd really like to explore, is having somebody that can be paid to be the chair, and we still have volunteers, but really make the thing move, right? So
I really would encourage that rather
Yeah.
than like hiring an event manager.
no, I think we want to hire somebody local that knows Cobb and knows this festival and has done it before.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I am reaching out to some universities to how do we become an internship? You know, how could that be something that a Park and Rec major might want to participate in and what is required for that. So I'm waiting to hear back from those folks. And I think our exploration is multi-tiered in that way. But, even then, that's looking at an assistant coming from outside of the area who could possibly help our local person who's administrating the event. It's all, yeah.
I really like this approach to it, because I think that what had discussed previously was, again, to try to maybe hire an outside management firm, which really would increase the scale of it, I think, beyond what I really like. I think we're hitting right in the sweet spot in terms of how big it is and how local it is. I'm not, again, just speaking for myself, I'm not looking to create a pear festival up here.
Yeah, no.
No, but we should be able to have, I think it would be cool if we could put tables out in the middle of 175 and have a dinner. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Paul.
Create a nightmare for the fire department.
Be fine. Use
Stay
Forest Lake
calm,
Road
stay
as a
calm.
bypass, that'll be fine. No, be good.
Go to your happy place.
Yeah.
That would be fun if it was just like a main street.
Paul had a heart attack.
Yeah, he just about went through the roof there.
No. All right, back on topic, everybody.
Yes.
So we have a motion on the floor. Did we get a second?
We did get a second. We got 2 seconds. Jessica made it first. She made the first second.
Okay. Are there any other discussion or questions? Okay, out of everyone in the room, is there anyone online who wants to participate?
I mean, we're sort of in, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We will look into creating the parameters of a paid position. Of course, when we discuss dollar amounts and such, we'll come back and say, okay, this is what we've decided to create, with everyone's approval. And then the process of appointing or selecting the person who's going to run this would have to be also established.
I move to delegate the Economic Development Committee to develop a process for getting that.
And I will second that motion.
Is there any other discussion?
Aye.
Okay, let's vote. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we will create a process in committee. Our next meeting is, I think I wrote down the wrong date.
Oh, no, March 15th?
I think I wrote down the wrong date.
I think I double checked it. I think it is the 15th, next month as well.
Is that-
No, it's the 21st,
It
because
is?
it's a leap year, and that shifted everything. The third Thursday is March 21st of 2024 at 6:30. We'll see you then.
And adjourn,
I'm adjourning, 8:03.
8:03. Woo.